So today I'm going to be presenting on umbrella insurance. My name is Daniel and I work with State Farm. Been with them for a couple years now, and so I've dealt with my fair share of claims, this and that. And a lot of people will tell me that, either umbrella insurance is a scam, you never use it, you just put into it and it's a waste of money. Other people say you put in a certain amount and it'll pay out so great, it's better than winning the lottery. So which is it? I'm going to go over it and have you guys decide for yourselves. So umbrella insurance is, often we call it umbrella liability policy. I passed out a handout. This is our actual quote page, and you might hear me saying it as PLUP. It stands for Personal Liability Umbrella Policy. Each company calls it a little different. It's the same thing. It's essentially a policy that gives extra coverage to whatever current policy you have. It's mainly for liability, so it protects you from lawsuits and in case you run into anything that exceeds your limits. So typically, umbrella insurance works like you have your current homeowner's policy, you have your current auto policy, and they all have their own coverages. You can pick and select those. But on top of that, once you exceed those limits, you can access this thing called umbrella insurance. And it's exactly what it sounds like. It's an overarching policy that protects you against situations where, like I said, if it exceeds the limit. So you have your deductible for your auto insurance, you have your deductible for your homeowner insurance. Once you use all of that up, that's considered your deductible towards the umbrella policy. So it does have to use up the entire policy. And this is a visual representation of how it works. I put 500,000 for liability, 300,000 for liability on the homeowner insurance side, and a typical coverage deductible. Once all of this is used up, we access the umbrella policy, which comes in coverages of millions. So, question is always, should I purchase an umbrella policy? So I let clients know, I like to inform clients rather than sell to them. When you set up a scenario in your head such as you are almost retired, you have your savings, your 401k, your house and your car almost done, if not done, paid off. What happens if you get into a lawsuit, if something happens? They're gonna come after you, come after all your assets. So you have this policy. So I created a couple different scenarios, and I will share a little bit into how, actually one of the instances in which I am familiar with umbrella is that it was used for my family. So I'll share a little bit about that after. But an example of bodily injury is, you get into a car accident, the medical bill exceeds your limits. If someone loses a leg, loses a limb, how much are they going to sue you for? If they know you're worth a lot, they're going to go after everything they can. That's why you have a good lawyer. And other instances, let's say you are retired and you're done and it's finally time to remodel your house. You hire an electrician, you hire a plumber, something goes wrong, they fall down the stairs, it's your fault, they sue you. The umbrella policy will cover the extra limits. Property damage. You're a teenager, you're a parent, you have teenagers, and they are driving now, and the vehicle is a dangerous weapon, right? So they run into someone's house, they run into a fence, and then the homeowner sues you. We have this coverage. Pet goes outside, they bite someone's leg. Homeowners does cover that, but in case it goes extra, you have your umbrella coverage. You have a couple other examples, such as if you have a boat, you run into a dock, maybe your child knocks over someone's antique Picasso painting. And a couple other ways it does protect you is from legal damages, such as if you slander someone, whether that's something like on Yelp and they go say that it's your fault that I'm not getting business. how much are they going to sue you for? Depending on what kind of business it is, depending on how much revenue they make, it can go up to the millions. And it will help protect you in cases of false arrest, malicious persecution, and violation of policy. Umbrella coverage can be used a lot more widely than people think it can. And it can actually help you with the lawyer fees. Typically, if you use your umbrella policy, you can't have your insurance company representing you the whole time, which I highly recommend actually. It's their $1 million that they don't want to pay out anyways, so they're going to fight really hard for it. Yes, you can hire your own lawyer if you know someone, and if you do know a lawyer, you know how expensive it can be. Even when it's not your fault, it can rack up bills, and this is what umbrella insurance is for. So we go back to the question, should I purchase an umbrella policy? I always recommend yes, and I always give them the scenarios where I did. So if you own a boat, if you are part of the community, and let's say you coach youth, you have pets, being a parent is very dangerous. It's always something to consider. Inside the handout I gave you guys, the first page is a really standard umbrella quote. I believe, hold on, I gave my copy away. I put a basic $1 million quote on there. We have 3 cars, 2 drivers, and it comes out to a very fairly reasonable $229. Different surcharges can be applied if you have inexperienced drivers, young drivers, if you have had a lot of accidents. They take all that into consideration, and it is a little bit more expensive because you might get into an accident. They weigh stuff such as if you have rental properties. And realistically, it's a very minimal amount to pay considering how much protection and coverage you are getting. I recommend, especially if you have rental properties actually, because you don't have to, depending on how you classify them, if it's a LLC, if it's a business, you have to go a different route. But if it's just a couple residential properties, it's completely okay. So I want to kind of change the order a little, see if you guys have any questions. Then I have a couple questions for you guys. Yes?
Is there a crossover between your automobile insurance and this umbrella? I mean, why do you have autos and drivers in the umbrella policy?
Okay, yeah, it makes sense. That's a good question. So the more drivers you have, the more exposure the company has. So we do make it a little bit more expensive if you have a lot of drivers. Now, if those drivers have habits of getting into accidents or have a record, then it's more likely that you will continue following that, get into more accidents.
So this is a business policy?
No, this is a personal policy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But it's different from your automobile policy.
It's different because it's on top of it. So once you exceed your limits, it goes into this policy. So on the paper, on the right side, it actually has a little portion that says underlying limits, and it says 250, 500, 100. Now you might have seen these numbers, 3 numbers crossed with slashes between them for your auto policies. The first one is amount of protection you have in case you are liable for an accident. That's the single limit for each person in the accident. The 500,000 is how much you are covered for the whole accident, and then the 100,000 is physical property damage. Yeah.
So it's my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, the purpose of the umbrella insurance is that when you look at your assets, your assets that you have as a family are higher than what your limits are
Exactly.
in your auto policy. So therefore, if a horrific thing happens, they wouldn't come after your assets. They could dip into the umbrella policy.
Exactly. Yes, so the more assets you have, the higher the coverage you want. Sometimes on the auto policy alone, you only have a certain amount that you can go up to. And this is where umbrella kicks in after. Right. Does that clear up your question, Judy?
Yes, thank you.
And
Yes.
is it just relating in the umbrella policy to your auto or also to your home?
To the home as well. So it's one policy that covers like a wide umbrella, basically.
Covers you.
Yeah,
Your
it covers
assets.
you, your financial assets, yes. Okay.
I have another question.
Mm-hmm.
I think I know the answer, but just to be sure.
Yeah.
So if you have an umbrella coverage for your business insurance,
Okay.
can it overlap to personal?
No, it cannot. That's the thing. That's why if you have a lot of rental properties and you're an LLC, for instance, there's a whole nother route you have to take.
So if you're a home-based business and a client comes to your house for
Okay.
business and they fall down the stairs, would my business liability insurance cover that?
Your business liability insurance would cover that. Depending on how personal you are with the person, and let's say you had multiple people come over and they all had accidents, you used up all your business insurance this year. Let's say I came over and we're doing business and then I trip and fall. Well, Judy, we're very close friends. I think at that point, depending on the circumstances, you could use your regular personal umbrella policy.
If you have one.
If you have one, that's right. Yeah. Did you have the right answer beforehand?
No, yes.
Okay. All right, well, I have a
Yeah.
couple, if I cleared up all the questions, I have a couple questions for you. Is this covered? Your daughter gets into a fight at school and punches another girl, breaking her nose. The parents sue you. Is this covered?
Yes,
Umbrella stuff?
Umbrella. Would umbrella policy cover you?
I guess yes.
No, it would not cover you because she got into a fight. It was intentional. Umbrella is also just like your regular insurance. It's only for accidental things.
Oh.
I can't get into a fight with you and hit you in the face just because I have umbrella policy. Right? So similar to that. Okay.
What about the case of self-defense?
Self-defense is always really interesting. So it always helps to have an umbrella policy so you can access the lawyers to protect you, right? What was that, Doug?
I was just gonna say, maybe you hit her accidentally.
If you hit her accidentally, absolutely. Why not? Yeah. I turned around and I broke her nose very hardly. Okay, so you cause a 10-car accident and it exceeds your auto insurance limits.
Yes,
Yes.
that would cover it.
This is the one that I've been saying, and this is actually the one that my family used. My sister, she was, I don't know if she was playing on the phone or whatever, but she rear-ended a car, and that car continued piling into 4 other cars. It exceeded we thought our insurance limit was very high. I'm very glad that we had umbrella coverage. We almost used all of the umbrella policy. So it's always nice to have something like a little net. Yeah.
How many times can you use the umbrella policy?
Twice a year.
Oh, really?
So don't get into too many accidents.
So if it's $1 million, if it's $1 million policy, and you use $1 million for one accident, and you have another one, it's another $1 million, it'll still cover you?
2 incidents up to $1 million each. Depending on how much your limit is, but yeah, let's say
You
$1
wanna
million.
stop driving.
Yeah, if your damage is $1 million, you want to
You
stop.
guys are worrying me.
Uber's a
Stop
lot
letting people
cheaper.
come
Right.
Okay,
For
so
sure.
let's go next
Could you
one.
imagine what your premium would be
Oh gosh.
if you used up the whole umbrella policy?
It would raise for
Well,
sure the next
tell you what,
year.
Sandy, even if you get into an accident, so I guess this is less umbrella, more auto.
Auto?
But let's say you got into a $10,000 accident or a $250,000 accident, it raises your insurance the same amount.
Same.
Really?
So get your money's worth.
So if you're gonna crash into a car, crash into it really good.
Exactly.
Lots of damage and stuff.
Does the umbrella insurance raise also if you?
No, it does
Really?
not. Yeah, no.
Wow.
Umbrella does not raise.
Got 5 minutes, Cameron.
Perfect.
What is the cost differentiation if you add an umbrella policy to your, it's like, say it's $1 million, I want $1 million umbrella policy and right now I'm paying $300 a month for all the drivers and everybody.
So it totally depends on the drivers, but so in this instance, this page I handed out, it's a $229 on top of whatever you have. If you
Gotcha.
have safe drivers, annual, yes, it's
Okay.
annual.
Yeah.
Okay, so like
Yeah, so
nothing.
It's almost nothing, right?
Yeah.
But does that
Yeah.
tack onto your automobile insurance or your homeowner's insurance?
So and that's what I was saying. You have to have a certain amount of limit, or else there is a little bit surcharge. It's a little bit more expensive. But if you have the underlying limits already, let's say 250, 500,
For what, automobile
For auto.
insurance? It doesn't attach to your homeowner's?
it's a whole nother policy completely, and it's an overarching policy.
Oh.
So it's like an addition to your
Mhm.
current policy.
All right, let's get this on the way. It's almost done. You send sandwiches to your son's school for field trip. Several students develop food poisoning, and then the parents sue you.
No,
Why
I'm
not?
not covered. Because it was at school.
It was accidental though.
I know, that's what I was thinking, it wasn't
Hopefully it was accidental. That's right.
So the difference here is intentional versus unintentional.
Exactly.
So that would be covered?
That would be covered.
So it doesn't matter where you are?
It doesn't matter where you are.
Could
In
be
fact,
intent on that, but
all over the world, you're covered.
Right, yeah. Right? Because
Maybe
then,
you threw in something you want to poison some kids. That might go
so in
in.
turn, those parents should sue the
The food
food
not
place
you.
where the food came
Yeah.
It's California, that's
Yeah.
We're super happy.
from.
All right, last one. Your teenager throws a
Oh,
party at your
God.
house while you're out of town. Someone brings alcohol to the party, and one of the guests are arrested for DUI. You are sued.
Yes,
Yes.
yes,
Yes.
because it happened in
You
your
are
home.
covered. It
Yeah.
happened in your home. You are liable.
Yep,
It wasn't
choose to
intentional.
drink and drive. I
Yeah.
didn't make you drink and drive, right?
but you were on my property and I allowed it, supposedly allowed it.
Allowed
Yeah.
it. Exactly.
Yeah.
But I mean, you guys all have different scenarios inside your head now. Definitely do consider umbrella insurance if you don't have it. I personally highly recommend it. With that, do we have any final questions?
In the cases of like, okay, I live in a townhouse complex. Let's say my neighbor is cooking, they fall asleep, start a fire, and it burns down my house.
Okay.
Are you covered just because that was accidental?
That is a very interesting question.
I would think
so
they would have to pay for your damages.
they are liable,
Yeah.
but usually townhouses have a master policy on top of it in case something like that does happen.
Okay.
And then of course you have your own, because.
And
Yeah.
of course you have your own insurance, right?
Good question.
Yeah, great
What
questions.
about a criminal breaking into your house that you hurt?
Oh.
So like they come break in your house and you're like, oh crap, and you defend yourself and you end up injuring them. It's not intent to injure maliciously, it's more of a defense
Self-defense.
thing. How would that fall under an umbrella policy? Or would it?
I would say that I hope you have an umbrella policy in that case so that they can try to fight for you.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it would be covered, but if you had an umbrella policy, you would have the lawyers there to fight and say it's not your fault.
Well, I've
So it's
read
always
stories where the criminal actually sued the owner and they won.
It's
What?
best.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
This issue.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Just kill them and then bury
They
them.
were in there robbing, they fell through something and broke something, and they sued the owner and they won.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
How?
No, it happens in
They're
stores.
bad
Matter of
lawyers.
fact, stores are told now, you just watch them rip you
Yep.
off and let
Yeah.
them walk
Yep.
out. You don't do
Yep.
anything.
Yep.
Same with the car vandals that smash your
Yeah.
window. Unless you have like a video of them
Yep.
doing it, like they smash your window.
Because
second,
it's their word
smash it,
against
can't do
yours.
anything
Yeah.
about
And
it.
so whoever
Really?
decides
So that's why
they
street
want to
justice
believe.
is okay in my opinion.
A couple years ago in Texas, someone booby trapped their house because they knew someone would try to vandalize and whatever, and the thief got injured and won the case.
Yep.
Because you can't booby trap your house.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's some bullshit.
It is.
Hell
I
yeah.
had my car window smashed multiple times and I wanted to rig something so they
Right.
could put their hand
Sure.
in. They were like a hook
Chop
was
it off.
speared at me. Yeah. They walked in and I could catch them in the act. But then
It's a booby trap.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a booby trap.
No Home Alone. This is not
Yeah.
Home Alone.
That's like a bad should be
Wow.
Because they're breaking in, entering into your property. They shouldn't be able to win that. But it has happened.
Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome.